So allow me to begin first by introducing to you the current Arizona Recycling Coalition Board of Directors. Our treasurer is Clark Landrum of Waste Management. Our secretary is Karen Jane of Stardust Building. And our grants and scholarships is Ariel LeBaron, City of Phoenix. Our media chair is Becky Borquez of the City of Peoria. Our policy chair is Aaron Murphy of ASU. Our past chair, Dylan Lenzen, he's like 1,200 miles away. So, but I want to at least give him a mention. Also, our affiliations and membership chair, and we've learned a great program coordinator, Jessica Yates, City of Phoenix. And also special recognition to our vice chair, Rose King of Glass King. You'll hear her speak a little bit later on. So let me tell you for just a moment, if I can, as far as who the Arizona Recycling Coalition is. We're basically industry professionals, community leaders, students, community members. We're a group of people that care about sustainability, that care about recycling. We're passionate about this, and we typically work in this event. We're dedicated to promoting reduction, waste diversion, recycling, and making sure, most importantly, that we do it right. And I think one of the big things, I'm going to go off for a second here, just one of the things that I love the most about this industry is how diverse it is, different types of people that you get, all the different evolutions that our industry incurs, from machinery, from technologies to material production to markets, all the different aspects that we get to do in this industry. I think it's an awesome thing. And so with that, I'll tell you my quick story. I got here because when I was 6 years old, most of the kids wanted to be a policeman or a fireman. Well, I loved it when the garbage man came down the street and I could hear his truck and I'd go running out there and I got to ride on the back of the truck from our driveway to the next one. And here I am, like, I don't know, I think that was 10 years ago. So we were established in 1993. One of the things that we do is we provide grants to a lot of startups, a lot of small communities. We really like to find those innovative things that help promote sustainability. And since 1993, we have awarded more than $250,000. So that's a significant amount of money that we provide as far as grants and to help people get started in this industry and provide an impact and a contribution. We have also awards that we give out every year to different types of people within our industry who make a great impact, highlight what they do, and it's a great way to network and make sure that we share that information to make the industry better as a whole. We have an annual conference every year. Please be watching out for that. We're working on that currently. That should be coming towards the end of October. We want to do something different. We did something different last year. We talked about food and liquid diversion. It was something that has a great impact from our waste diversion perspective, much like you're going to hear tonight with what we can do with glass. So these are the types of things that we look to do within the Arizona Recycling Coalition. And we always encourage participation, no matter what you do, that you can be a part of what we do here. We have a policy committee that's really unique as well. Our policy committee is very active. We have subcommittees run by Aaron Murphy, as I mentioned before. And so that's another great way that you can participate. So we would encourage you to please look at joining our membership. One of the things that we did this year as well is, like everybody else, there was this little thing called COVID. You may have heard of it, kind of put the brakes on a lot of things. We were actually going to do this event last year, got pushed back, obviously, for that reason. So as we were resetting and restarting this year and looking forward, what did we want to do most was to talk to you, talk to our members. What's important to you? What impacts you? How can we be a good resource for you? So we reached out and did a survey, and these are kind of the top 5 areas of interest and top 5 topics of interest that you said was most important to you. Recycling, outreach, and education, that one kind of always seems to be at the top. Again, we want to do things different to be that resource that expands that scope. I won't go through each and every single one of these. Composting, organics, diversion. Again, we offered something last year, said, here's an alternative. It's a great new program. And one that you might want to go back and take a look at again. And we're always available for that as well. Zero waste, recycling, contamination information. These are certainly the things that we want to make sure that we're bringing to you and being that resource. So what do we want to do and where do we want to go? As a coalition, we want to make sure that we're still providing you with those same resources as far as how to make you most effective at what you do, what makes our industry better, how we make sure that it's moving and advancing forward effectively. But in addition to that, we want to be that resource that you go to that says, hey, I'm really good at what I'm doing right now. I'm kind of a rock star. So what's that next step that I can now bring back to my organization, to my community, and make it even more impactful, better, bring the contamination rate down? This is an example. Those types of things, we want to be that resource for you in being able to make everyone better within this industry and encourage the participation. As I mentioned, we started in 1993. Does anybody want to guess what the national participation recycling average was in 1993? You win a big prize, like a wooden nickel or something like that. It was actually a little bit less than 20% nationally for recycling in 1993. And now it's like 285%. It's awesome because of things like this, right? So with that, I'm not going to take up too much of the time because there's some great content, but I do want to highlight a couple of our members that you're going to hear from tonight: Strategic Materials and Glass King, two longstanding members that we've had big impact on doing this, as well as the Glass Packaging Institute and Crescent Crown. And with that, again, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for participating. We look forward to engaging with you all again here soon. And so I will turn this over to the Vice President of Operations for Strategic Materials, Paul Faherty.
Hello. Thank you for having me here. It's I've been going to these events for about 17 years now, so it's this is a great group. We really appreciate the invite, and we appreciate all the recycling you guys help us do. We had a video. Are we gonna run that video?
Don't Trash Glass program is opening up opportunities for bars and restaurants to make a difference locally. Give glass bottles and jars a new life by separating them from the trash and save money on disposal. Participating Don't Trash Glass bars and restaurants receive indoor and outdoor containers to separate glass from trash. Working together with Glass King and GPI to collect and recover glass containers for recycling. Glass containers are then sorted and cleaned to become new glass containers in as little as 30 days. Every ton of glass your bar or restaurant recycles through the Don't Trash Glass program benefits the Glass Recycling Foundation. Do your part as a Don't Trash Glass partner to benefit your bar or restaurant and help close the glass recycling loop. Learn more at glassrecyclingfoundation.org.
Okay. This is me, Paul Faherty. I've been with the company for about 17 years. We've been here in Phoenix about 14 years now. We've got a plant around the southwest side of town on South 19th Avenue, between the 10 and the 17. We're going to talk about a little bit about us, a little bit about our process and what the end markets are for glass, the circular nature of glass, how well it recycles, and a little bit about our plant here in town. Go ahead. This is our mission statement. I'm sure we paid some marketing company a lot of money to do this. They forgot to put profit in here, which is part of our mission, but that's it. Thanks, Jessica. We've been around a long time. We started 125 years ago in Cleveland, doing mostly window glass. And since then, we've expanded to 50 locations, all in North America, most in the US. We've got about a half dozen in Mexico and 2 in Canada now. We recycle a lot of glass. We take in about 3 million tons, outbounds more like 2.6, 2.7. So we're the largest glass recycler in North America by a wide margin. The benefits of glass is that it displaces virgin materials. And virgin materials are soda ash, limestone, and sand. Soda ash comes from North Dakota. Sand is probably pretty local. Limestone comes from, I think, California. So it's traveling a long way to get here, to get into a furnace to be made into glass. And we've got glass locally. It's better to run it that way. It's much smaller carbon footprint. And what glass does in a furnace, it's got a lower melt point. So glass is going to melt about 2,000 degrees. The batch material is going to melt about 2,700 degrees. So obviously a lot less natural gas being used, a lot less CO2 emissions, reduce NOx, reduce SOx, and zero particulate matter. because once the PM10's out, it's out. It's gone. So when you remelt the glass, it's a much cleaner operation, much lower emissions, and it's actually better for the companies too. When Fevisa down in Mexicali runs glass, they can pull glass through the furnace faster because it's got a lower melt point. So they can make 300 tons a day instead of 250. So if you're running that business, you want recycled glass because you're taking more glass against a fixed cost component. So it works for those guys, lower maintenance costs, lower energy costs, obviously. So there's a lot of benefits to glass. The process for us is different based on what type of glass it is. We get some glass, which is pretty clean, like Rose brings us pretty clean glass from bar and restaurant programs. That stuff's whole bottle. It's broken, but we don't really care, but it's clean. There's no contamination. When we get glass from a MRF, glass is what I call a negative sort. So they'll pull out the corrugated, they'll take the metal out, they'll blow the plastic out, and everything that comes through a 2-inch screen is then glass. So it's cheap for them. It's hard for us because it comes out pretty contaminated. So we have to work pretty hard to clean single stream. And single stream is the predominant type of glass we get. We get 4,000 tons of glass a month, and I'd say 3,300 of that is going to be single stream. So we've got to work pretty hard to clean that. And we clean it by getting the organics out using air, mostly blowing or sucking. We get the ferrous metal out with magnets, the non-ferrous metal out with eddy currents. And now we've got a clean stream, but we've got to get the ceramics out. So we have ceramic detection, which is camera systems. Then we got to color sort it. And once it's color sorted, it can go to a container furnace at that time. Or if it's going to go to fiberglass, we have to crush it to about the size of sand, and we ship it out as a fiberglass product. So it's a fair amount of work. That's right. Okay, so what's nice about glass is that it, particularly when it's all local, it's really a nice recycling story. So here we are at Cumulate Dropout having a cold beer. That glass goes into a recycling bin. Rose picks it up. She brings it to us. If you're at home having a glass of wine, you put it into the curbside bin. It goes to Republic or United Fibers or Waste Management. It's still going to come to us. So we get it. We'll clean it. We'll color sort it. We'll size it. We'll ship that to a number of our customers. We've got a big customer down in Mexico, in Mexicali, called Fevisa. They make all the Anheuser-Busch bottles, all the Modelo bottles, all the Jarritos bottles, and some wine bottles for the whole West Coast. So that's going to come back in here as recycled content. We ship some glass to Los Angeles, to OI and LA. They're making kombucha bottles and food bottles mostly there with it. For the fiberglass customers, it's going to go to Owens Corning. Now, Owens Corning's got a plant in Waxahachie, Texas, which is going to now, but they're reopening a dormant plant here in Arizona in a place called Eloy, which is about, I don't know, halfway between here and Tucson, I think. So that's going to be a great local story, local jobs, local use. The glass all stays in Arizona. So from there, it goes from us, goes to the guys making the bottles, then it goes to Crescent, the bottles get filled, and it goes to Crescent Crown, and it comes back here. So it's a nice story. Glass recycles well. Some commodities, which I won't mention, don't recycle quite as well. They have to downcycle. So you make this product one time, then you got to make this product, then you got to make that product, then you got to throw it out. We don't have to do that with glass. It's the same every time. So I won't say it's 100% recyclable, but it's about 98% if you've got clean glass. So getting more clean whole bottle glass is real important for us. Next slide, please. This is us here in town. Like I said, 4,000 tons a month. The glass we accept is, curbside material, whole bottle. We'll take window glass, either tinted or non-tinted. We don't really care. We can take frame glass. We can take dishware. What we try to avoid are things like Pyrex, because Pyrex is made not to melt. So that's not great for furnaces. Solar glass is something we're looking into. There's more of it out there these days. So we're going to find a way to take that too. We just can't take it just yet. And if you have windshield glass, it would go to Glass King too. So that's the kind of glass we take. Colors don't matter. Broken glass is fine. We don't like it pulverized, but we like it, but broken glass is not a problem. And where it goes is like I just talked about. It goes to OI in LA, Fevisa in Mexicali. Owens Corning and the new plant in Arizona, which is going to open up in the first quarter of 2022. So we've been here a long time. We like this market. It's a good location for us. We work pretty well with the city, with the vendors in town. So we're happy to be here. So I appreciate you guys supporting us. I think that's it. That is it. So thank you. Are we gonna do questions later?
Questions later, yeah. Okay. So, is it to Rosemary? Oh, it's me? Okay. You're next over there. Okay, I'll stay over here. Okay, sure. I'm Scott DeFife. I'm the president of the Glass Packaging Institute. I also brought a second hat for this one. I'm the president of the Glass Recycling Foundation. As the one that pays the bills is the Glass Packaging Institute, the foundation. It's a charitable, so it doesn't, right? So one feeds the other. But the Glass Packaging Institute, GPI, we're the trade association of the companies that make the bottles in the first place and recycle the glass also. So the entire supply chain of making the bottles, the recycling of the material, the caps, the closures, the labels, everything else that goes into container glass, not flat glass, window glass. It's a different group, but really what Paul was talking about, what we call in the industry soda lime glass, because it's soda ash, limestone, and silica, not this kind of silica that you find out on the street or at the beaches or in the riverbeds, but silica sand that's specifically made, helpful for making new bottles. And we're here and we're partnering in Phoenix with Glass King, with Strategic Materials, with Crescent Crown to bring the Don't Trash Glass program back. If this event had been a year ago, I probably wouldn't be here. But we met during COVID over the internet trying to solve problems. I've been not 25 years in the glass industry, not 30 years in the glass industry, 2 years in the glass industry, but I was brought into the trade association and the foundation to help solve problems, right? Find solutions, work on innovative solutions in each area. If we want to go forward, if that's me, yeah. And we did last year while we were all sitting at home doing our Zoom meetings, we tried to do some research to advance the ball a little bit. And we did a nationwide supply chain study of where is the glass and how do we get it to our plants, okay? You may have heard there's a push for recycling rates overall nationally. US EPA wants a 50% recycling rate for all materials by the end of the decade. We were trying to get ahead of that, not just to make a commitment to get to 50%, but how would we actually get to 50%? I'm not one of those that likes to just wave a flag and say, hey, here's our commitment too. We want to actually get there so that in 5 years, 10 years, you're going to see a marked difference. Because, next slide, one of the things that we found is over the course of the past decade, the glass recycling rate has leveled off in the low 30s nationally, okay? It has been stuck there, and we want to get it to 50%. In order to get 50% recycling rate and 50% recycled content in the average bottle or jar made in North America, we need to get above 50% in the recycling rate because there's going to be some yield loss and the fiberglass guys are taking some. And, it's okay. Everybody who wants to use recycled glass is good in our book, but, containers first, right? Okay, so next slide. And we have to study this regionally, right? Because the problems that you're having in the Southwest, in Phoenix, in this area are very different than the problems in the Northeast. I have calls with the Northeast folks all the time. They have lots of glass. They don't have places to send the glass, right? And so the bottle bill glass from New York and Massachusetts and some of the other states that have deposit laws, 5 cents on the bottle like California has or Oregon, they have a lot of clean glass that can be used, but the container plants are south and west, right? So transportation issues are largely the issues there, getting the glass to market. In this area, quite honestly, the Phoenix area, the Arizona area markets totally, because virtually every place of significant population in Arizona is within 150 miles of Phoenix, right? You have the benefit, there is a glass processor in your state. That is not the case in half the country, okay? There may be 36, 40 glass processing facilities. There's 46, 47 glass manufacturing plants. They're not in all 50 states. Of course, we don't have any in the Dakotas and Montana and, the upper Midwest, but it's concentrated in the Mid-Atlantic and the Southeast. There's a little bit of Texas, Oklahoma, Colorado, West Coast, and then the Great Lakes, okay? So our work on the study is to find the regional solutions to get the glass from where the glass is to where the glass needs to be. And so this is our map of our activity. Look, I've put in Arizona in a special color to recognize that I'm here and that we're working on the ground in Arizona to increase glass recycling. Every other state where you see that light green, this map changes on me all the time. The colors change. One day it's blue. I wore my blue shirt. Sometimes it's green. Every place that you see the state colored in is where we have an active project, not ever in 2021, working on glass recycling. So every other day, I'm on a call with one of these other states, regional coordinators, just like the Recycling Coalition and the Recycling Foundations of the states and the national. And these are the plants. The red stars are the MRFs. Paul talked about material recovery facilities that take glass. The little black dots are MRFs that take glass. The red stars are MRFs that do glass well, right? There's more MRFs that do glass well. We just need to recognize them. These are certified MRFs that do glass well. And when the material comes out of that facility, it has a market. This is using national standards that we didn't make up, ISRI, national standards for the waste management industry that we've applied to glass recycling. It's free. The Glass Recycling Foundation and Coalition will sponsor, an assessment from any MRF that wants to send their material. They actually don't send the material in. At first, I thought they would sending me buckets of MRF glass, but no, they take pictures and they do an assessment, and it's kind of on the honor system, but it's an independent group that does the assessments. So you can see we're working on this. And mostly for this map, the point is there are glass markets here. There are glass markets all over the country, right? Because I hear too often, there's no markets for glass. There's no markets for glass or something like that. This is not the case. There are markets for glass. There may be issues getting some MRFs glass to a market, or it may have too much contamination, or there may be an issue that needs to be resolved, but there are markets for glass. Next slide. And the Glass Recycling Foundation, the other hat, we spun that up 2 years ago also to help take over the grant-making process as the industry is putting money in to these projects. We decided to have a C3 organization so that we could take in grants and give grants out to communities to enhance community recycling. The GRF has started making its first grants in 2021. First one was in Erie, Pennsylvania. Second piece of work has been in Chicago, Illinois, in fact, with Rose, on a program that looks very similar to the one that we're talking about tonight in Chicago. And we're also working in Georgia and a couple other places. So GRF takes in grants and makes grants to communities. Yeah, this is just more of the stuff that Paul was talking about. I mean, we're not going to duplicate all of the benefits for the glass recycling. I can answer questions at the end if you have questions. Really, people overthink the glass recycling. I hear so many questions about myths. I didn't think colored glass could be recycled. I didn't think broken glass could be recycled. All of those things, just wipe it all out. If all we need is the glass getting into the supply chain, the industry will take care of most of the rest of that. Okay, and we can just move forward through the opportunity. Again, GPI, I'm the trade association. Glass Recycling Coalition is anybody that's involved in glass recycling around the country, and the GRF, that's our 501c3. And all three of us are happy to be here with you tonight in all my hats, okay? Yeah. And I think next is Rose. There you go.
Hi, my name is Rose King, and I'm the co-founder of Glass King Recovery and Recycling. And I'm excited to see each and every one of you. When we, I think there was a mention about what happened. This event was scheduled last year in March. And just days before we canceled it, Paul called me and said, I heard from corporate and we have to cancel the event. I said, no, we're not canceling the event. And there was about the same amount of people that were scheduled. And this is really exciting to have the event that starts again with AZRC as the event that was canceled. It's one of the perks of being a part of the coalition. We're going to watch that video one more time. Well, we don't have to. Did you skip it? Yeah. So we created a video so you could just really get the essence of what the Don't Trash Glass is. It was an opportunity when in 2018, I met Joe. I, at the time, had Jill Bernstein. It was Keep Arizona Beautiful was another organization. And we actually met, Jill and I, right here at the Arizona Recycling Coalition. We thought that it would work really well if we could somehow promote our amazing program that we have for bars and restaurants. In 2015, when we arrived here, we realized that if we created a cost-effective, convenient way for a bar, a restaurant, a casino, a hotel, if they could recover their glass and do it in an efficient way, and if it all makes sense, maybe we'd have something. You can go ahead. So this is what we created. We created the Don't Trash Glass program. And the benefits to it are obviously reducing waste. I see many faces here of people that are, I think one from Pine Top, Tucson, some of the reservations. For locations like these areas, it's a lot more than just recycling. It's literally diverting that waste where you can actually reduce the cost that you're paying every single month. We know that when we provide the resources for you to collect the glass, we do it in a way that it's done safely. Most restaurants, if they don't have a recycling program, are putting all of their waste in bags. I can't even tell you the horror stories that we've heard of people cutting themselves in these bags. We provide 23-gallon slim bins. We have a bulk container for outside. So we provide a full service program. And one of the most important things that we do is track your metrics. You want to know what you're diverting. And we feel very proud of offering those metrics to our customers. And what is amazing about this program is Glass King may be able to divert glass great from the establishment, but it takes people like the GPI, the Glass Recycling Foundation, to actually give us the support that we need to really educate. So this is how it works. Literally your business, just like here at the Culinary Dropout, which I want to thank the Culinary Dropout. They've been customers for years of the Fox restaurants, but it starts here. We collect it. We go to our buddies, Strategic Materials. Just like Paul said to you, it goes to one of the manufacturers. It becomes new bottles within 30 days, and it's back on the shelf on Culinary Dropout. So this is the way we can close the loop. And if anybody knows me, they know that glass recycling to me is very personal. It's just not our business. I mean, my young son started this. But if we could create a program where you could be personally affected because you know you're drinking that beverage, that spirit, that beer, and because of programs like this, it becomes a bottle again. Now we're taking responsibility. And that's where Joe comes in, because Joe Cotroneo is a very, very unique man. When I met him and I sat down and I said to him, Joe, we've got a big glass problem in the commercial level, and we'd very much like to talk to you about your customers. I think if I may quote him, it was a no-brainer. He said, I'd love to be a part of this. It's what we should all be doing. So with that, I'd like to tell you how you can learn more about the program. The GPI has set up the Don't Trash Glass. We're very, very excited to be in Chicago, Illinois. Who would have thought that this program in Arizona could replicate itself? And when I tell you it replicated itself, exactly the way we do it here in Arizona. So you can click on Chicago or Phoenix. It'll be collected at GPI. The GPI tells us, and that's how we do our program. So I'm very excited about that. Oh, one more. I didn't realize it. Okay, this is what we do. We provide the containers inside so you can safely collect it. These are bulk containers. We provide all the educational signage need that you might need. It's bilingual. Again, that personal connection with the person that's actually recovering the glass. And this is part of our signage here. Your location can watch a short recycling training video. We talked to the staff about how all of it works, where the container is outside, everything from start to finish. And literally, it's just like the waste. Nobody knows when we pick up that container. It's like the little secret guy that picks it up. It's, again, we're diverting that glass and doing it in a way that makes sense with all of the partners. That's how we've connected it. So thank you very much. Please, I want to meet each and every one of you if I haven't, but I'd like to introduce you to the gentleman that very much made this possible, Joe Cotroneo from Crescent Crown.
Thank you, Rose. That was very high praise. I appreciate that. As Rose said, I'm Joe Cotroneo. And first of all, I'd like to say cheers to everybody. I love Pacifico, and while it in a can, it's okay. But a long neck bottle makes this beer taste a lot better. Yep, he's got a long neck. But hey, Crescent Crown's come up a few times, and I'm going to get to who we are in a second. But it's very important to note that I wouldn't be standing here if it wasn't for that other logo up there, and that's Constellation Brands. Constellation Brands is Pacifico, it's Modelo, it's Corona, and they're great partners. And we got Greg and Jonathan here from Constellation. Guys, thank you for your support. These guys have been with us the whole time. They're also doing it in Chicago because they also, as a great company, believe in giving back and doing the right thing. So who we are. So our vision and mission, I won't go through that, but we strive, Crescent Crown strives to be the best at what we do. We want to be nationally recognized for what we do. Okay, you won't find profitability in there. We are a very profitable company, but that's not first and foremost for us. Whatever we do, we want to be good at it. And the men and women that work for Crescent Crown, and there's about 14 of them here, are committed to that. And that's what drives our company. The other thing we talk about a lot is our perfect six pack. And those are our strategic business drivers. They're real simple because our business is really simple. And we're a blue collar business, including the guy in the microphone right now. So we just live simply. Our favorite is the last one, having fun and celebrating. But I guess the one that comes into play here is efficiency in all we do. So we're very big into that, and that's part of of who we are, our ethos. So on the far right is who we are as a company, and then the six pack is what we do. We're pretty simple. These are our two facilities. We're in Mesa and we're in Surprise with these facilities. Collectively, we've got about 500,000 square feet. We have about 1.3 million cases under roof at any given time, and we turn it every 16 days. So it's a lot. This is a very thirsty part of the world for beer, and we sell a bunch of it. You may notice in the Surprise facility, all those solar panels. To my knowledge, I still think we're the largest flat roof solar installation in the state of Arizona. We're very proud of that. We also have that at Mesa. So again, right thing to do. And if you're not in Arizona and you're not in solar, you're probably missing out on a hell of an opportunity. This is just where we do business. You see the in the middle, we're Maricopa and Pinal County primarily. We don't do a vast majority of the state in terms of geography, but we sell about 65% of all the beer that we sell. Our fellow distributors around Legacy Canyon, they sell about 35% of the brands that we sell. That's a little bit of our metrics, about 800 people. We'll beat 23 million cases. We've run about 1,000 trucks, 100 trucks a day in the market. So our equipment's pretty visible out there, and we're constantly in our customers. We have 4,700 on-premise customers like this one. And the people that run that, all of our supervisors are here from the on-premise. I appreciate your guys' support, and it'll be their people that'll help with this program. This is just our sales trends. Again, we want to be nationally recognized, and we live in a great environment. The Phoenix market, the greater Phoenix market is definitely growing, as we all know. And we have great brands and great suppliers, and we're pretty well run, I think. And as a result of that, we had one of our best years ever last year during what was a very difficult times in terms of COVID. But a lot of people were home, and a lot of people were knocking back a few beers. So our business is good and it's also growing again this year. National recognition, just a number of awards we've won. We win a lot of them for our sales, hitting sales goals, but some of the ones I'm most proud of, in 2008, we were first to test a fleet of hybrid trucks. Heavy duty hybrid equipment at the time wasn't being tested, but they were really efficient and saved a lot of carbon dioxide and things like that. So we're constantly looking to do whatever we do. We want to be good at it. Jessica, you get the next one. Thanks. In terms of community involvement, some of these logos you guys will recognize, but we try to be involved with as much as we can be, giving back to the community. Like all good businesses, we try to do that. And this is just a smattering of what we do. We're involved in a whole bunch of stuff, including sports teams and things like that, because the beer business is all about that. So here's really what it gets down to and why I was quoted as saying it's a no-brainer. Crescent Crown on an annualized basis will sell 8 million cases of bottles, okay, into our community. That's 192 million bottles. Okay, so I was thinking about it, and I don't know this for a fact, but I got to believe we're one of, if not the biggest, in terms of the number of bottles that we sell into this community. The soda business is by and large a plastic bottle and a can business. The beer business is still a glass bottle business. Not here at the Culinary Dropout, however. They like cans, but in the end, we have a responsibility. That's 192 million bottles a year. That sadly, we know a lot of that goes into the waste, the landfill versus being recycled. So what can we do about that? So again, Constellation Brands, I reached out for them. They were already doing the program in Chicago. I said, hey, I didn't get the sentence out of my mouth. And these guys are like, let's do it. So we've got great partnerships. Constellation is our fastest growing supplier. They're currently our number 2 supplier in terms of volume, but clearly our fastest growing and our biggest bottle supplier. So it's all the connections come together. And then just lastly, it's just the right thing to do. It's the right thing for us to do. So what we're going to do. So in addition to, we run rankers. We know everything our customers buy from us, right? Like any business you track and you measure. So we've identified our top 100 customers. A lot of them are casinos, big casinos. And some of them Rose already does business with. Many of them Rose has got a good business, but we're going to cross-reference that and we're going to start with our biggest customers. We have all of our supervisors that manage our teams that go out there. They're here tonight so they can get familiarized with the program. We're going to go to those big customers and say, look, this is something you ought to look at. Not only is it the right thing to do, but it also could be profitable for you because it'll divert a lot of your other waste. You'll have less pickups maybe from the waste management folks. These folks from Glass King will take good care of you. You'll be off and running. You'll be doing the right thing, and you'll be more profitable in the interim. And then lastly, we didn't think that was enough. So again, went to our partners at Constellation. We said, look, these guys are doing great work, and it goes beyond our hard work of getting to the customers. But we decided we would make a contribution as well. So I have a check here for $20,000 for you guys to keep doing the great stuff you're doing. And that's, again, our partners from Constellation as well. Thank you, guys. So that's it. We're glad to be partners with this. We're glad to work hard. And the money's the easy part. But getting out to these customers, guys, talking to them about the opportunity, getting them to take a look at it and getting them to do the right thing is what we're all about. So that's it for me. Thank you very, very much, everybody.
Thank you very much. Great numbers. Please give all of our panel a warm round of applause for being here tonight. So this is the part we get to do the question and answer, and I will take great liberty because I have the microphone in my hand right now. 192,000. That's an incredible opportunity. Is that to millions? Sorry, 192. I was great at math. 285% increase on recycling. With that, I'm curious to know how much of the current consumer market in bottles is recycled content versus virgin. Does anybody want to take that one?
I've got that one. The average bottle made in North America is about 31% recycled content. That'll fluctuate from month to month, and COVID gave us a big hit. We lost about 10%. We're sneaking back up into the 30s. recovering that, but it has been that way for about a decade. About 1/3 of your average bottle. That doesn't mean that some bottles might be 50% or 60% or 70%. Some plants might make more recycled content than others, but on average, we're about 1/3 recycled content right now.
And if you have a question, raise your hand. We'll come back to. We want to get to our online people as well.
Yeah, so I'm asking a question for Terry Gellenbeck. How can we help Tucson engage more deeply on glass recycling, and how can AZRC and GRC help?
Oh, me again. It was how to engage more deeply. Oh, with Tucson. Well, our friends from Tucson, I mean, I see some friends from Tucson. No, look, when we saw the problems and the announcement in Tucson, we jumped in as quick as we could to try to provide some help and solutions. I missed that magic window when I knew that they were studying the solutions before I was hired, but afterwards we're trying to provide some help. I think that our ways, certainly we could bring the commercial bar and restaurant program to as much of Tucson as it is legal. I think there may be some restrictions. And this is the other interesting thing. Every city, every jurisdiction's rules are slightly different. Every contract is slightly different with a waste hauler and things like that. So you have to navigate the rules, who has exclusivity over the materials that are picked up, which zones can be picked up, which zones can't be picked up. But there's no reason why we couldn't bring commercial bar and restaurant glass collection to Tucson while we still try to sort out some of the residential stream issues. Let me just add for a second. One of the reasons why we're here, look, I came in from Virginia for this first. If Joe wants to, give us a donation to the Glass Recycling Foundation, I'm going to get on a plane and come to Arizona. But no, I mean, the other part is we've been working on this for a year over Zoom. I needed to come and meet everybody, but also see the operation on the ground, because it's not like, it's one thing to visualize it with Google Maps and things like that. It's another to drive it and see it and look at it. I talked about our study, right? And one of the key things in the study was trying to find the glass that we never get to touch, the glass that goes straight from consumer to landfill, right? That's where we need to disrupt. Bars and restaurant glass, commercial recycling in most communities is less than the residential recycling in those communities. I'll add multifamily to that as well. And a lot of times in some, you've got kind of commercial zoning, and multifamily zoning is closer to each other than single family residential zoning. So this was a big opportunity that we identified in our study as disrupting the commercial stream and getting the glass. It's very easy. I say very easy. It's actually not that hard, but it's a lot easier right here to put that bottle in a separate bin, and it never touches the rest of the commingled stream, right? In residential, it's a little harder. We're gonna have to put out separate bins and things like that. But in the commercial stream, we can collect large volumes of glass and divert it away from landfill one step, okay? And so that's what we're trying to do. And we're gonna keep engaging and trying to help our friends in Tucson.
I think another thing that can help is we know the distributor that sells what we do in Tucson, Finley Distributing. And while they don't sell 192 million bottles, they sell at least 20 million. So I think it's incumbent on businesses too. We don't want to be the only ones. We take no pride in being the only ones helping them with this. I'd like to see my competitors. I'd like to see the other distributors help, because so much of this stuff is awareness. And, it broke my heart when Rose told me how much of that glass that even I was recycling goes into the what we thought we were recycling goes into the waste bin. It's just disturbing. So I think private business plays a role in this as well. And I'm willing to do my part. I know all the other distributors, and I'll do what I can.
Very good. Thank you. Are there any questions in the house at all by chance? Okay, we'll go back online.
Okay, this is also a question from Terry. Is green glass recycling still the stepchild in glass recycling? The stepchild was the word.
Is green glass the stepchild of recycling? Is that what Terry said? That would be Terry.
Let Paul take this one.
No, greens, there's a good market for green glass. California needs green glass to make wine bottles. We ship glass to California from Phoenix today. the fiberglass manufacturers, sorry, Scott, they actually prefer green glass. It's, they don't like amber because it's got too much carbon in it. Flint's got some chemicals they don't like in it, but green glass works beautifully for them. So we actually take all the green glass that we collect in Arizona, we blend it with window glass, we put it through a fine grind process it, and we ship it to either Owens Corning in Texas or soon to be Owens Corning in Eloy. So there's a good market for green glass, no issues at all.
Very good. Any questions? Okay, back to Terry. I mean, online.
There's two more. So one is, has the percent of glass, how has the percentage of glass changed in the typical Arizona residential waste stream over the last 10 years? And then the same question for the commercial stream. So what percentage of the stream is it?
I mean, our residential glass dominates because there's just so much volume. You've got, Waste Management Republic, United Fibers collecting a lot of volume. So for us, out of the 4,000 tons that we process, about 3,300 of them are going to be coming from residential programs. About half of what's left comes from window and the other half from Glass King type programs or cities and towns collecting glass and drop-off centers.
Okay, and I think the last EPA statistic I saw was about 5% of the landfill diversion was glass. One, does the panel agree with that number? And two, if not, what is the percentage of opportunity that we could divert glass from the landfills? 5% of the overall municipal waste, solid waste is glass content.
No, I think it's probably a little higher than that.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I mean, I think it's higher than that. Glass is heavy. So, glass compared to plastic or aluminum, it's going to get a lot more bang for your buck with glass in terms of tons. So it really depends on what market it is. Where you've got a market like, Arizona is a decent market. So there's places to go with glass. California, there's lots of places to go with glass. If you're in Montana, I'd say very little glass leaves Montana. It's all going into landfill. So it kind of depends on where you are to a certain extent.
Net 5% is a little too low. I would say our data is closer to 12 or 15%. In the typical stream is glass. What percentage of that is commercial? My guess is actually for commercial, you have to be looking at the percentage that you're not collecting, not the percentage that you are collecting, right? And so, but overall, if glass is maybe, let's just call it 12 to 14% of the overall volume of the stream, it might be 20 to 25% of the weight of the stream. And from a commercial standpoint, a bar that is glass heavy, a bar that uses a lot of bottles, it could be 40 or 45% of that commercial establishment's waste stream. And if you take the organics and the glass and do something positive with both of those for restaurants, you're solving a lot of the issue from a zero waste standpoint for the bar and restaurant program.
Thank you. Great opportunity. Question?
Yeah, how common is it for bars and restaurants and casinos to recycle their glass? And how big of a market is that for you guys to grow in?
Before we came, it wasn't common at all. So what's interesting is that a lot of our establishments already divert the glass due to safety reasons, some to inventory control, and then throw it away. So there's a lot of possibilities, especially your casinos. Any area that's in the rural areas, they're paying a tremendous amount of money to throw away that glass. And I just wanted to tell you guys something really quick, because we're talking a little bit about residential. But in Arizona, we don't do a very good job when it comes to our blue container. So we in Arizona recycle about 12%. So, I think it's probably maybe even lower, but that's what we do. The rest of it's going to the landfill. So the opportunity to actually collect glass is a huge opportunity. We just need to educate ourselves more.
Rose, I think you have about 160 of the on-premise customers. Is that right? Right around there?
It's about 100 now.
100 now.
That was before COVID.
Okay, we have 4,700 customers that we sell beer to in this channel. So some of them wouldn't be commercially viable. Some of our very small places, they might do 3 cases of bottles a week. That would not be worthwhile to pick up, but we're going to go to the big ones. There's a whole bunch of opportunity.
Yeah, I have a friend in Chicago who actually saw us doing the Chicago thing, but he's a franchise operator for Firehouse Subs. And he says, well, what about me? And I'm like, I don't think you got any glass in those Firehouse Subs, do you? And he goes, not a lick. And I'm like, well, then, you can sign up, but I don't know where your glass is going to come from. So the opportunity is, Phoenix is doing it. We're doing it in Chicago, although we've just started. North Carolina has a bar and restaurant glass program. And then there's other, Kansas City, Ripple's doing some up there. Momentum is doing some in Salt Lake and in Colorado. But there's a tremendous opportunity to divert the glass from bars and restaurants across the country.
Speaking of helping our friends in Tucson, I think they had a question.
So the question is, what is your per capita rate of glass usage per capita? So what
About 80 pounds on average. There's some states that are higher than that than others. In our study, we broke down some food. So let me give you some basic stats about the glass industry, glass container industry. I would say about 75% of all glass containers are beverage, beer, wine, spirits, non-alcoholic beverage. 25%, maybe 24% is food. That's growing. And then there's another percent that's actually also growing fast, and that's in, I don't want to call it just cosmetic, but cosmetic and pharmacological, vitamins, things like that you would find in and the cannabis industry is also packaging in glass a lot. So there's a growing slice in that last little bit that isn't food or beverage that is growing, but 75% in beverage, 50% of that is beer. And then the rest is wine, spirits, and non-alcoholic beverages.
Sorry, I gotta reopen this. So the last question from Terry is, what's been the biggest impediment for recycling glass at a bar or restaurant?
I'm just saying Terry could have been here for that many questions.
Probably the biggest impediment is literally the leadership. Other than that, the participation is always at 90% or more.
As a consumer, when I purchase wine or beer, I have a choice. Should I purchase it in a glass container or in a can? And I recycle everything. I put it in my City of Phoenix blue bin, and then Eduardo takes care of it from there. But if you were to create an environmental scorecard for Arizona, knowing that we have a unique, glass situation here, which is better for the environment overall? Looking at, the energy to recycle, any waste that you would have, the emissions, when you compare a glass container versus a can, aluminum can, how would they compare?
Great question.
Yeah, I think that one's for me. In Arizona, because you have a processor and because you have bottling plants nearby, and when I say nearby, we're not talking, it doesn't have to be right here in the city, but generally if you're within 200, 250 miles, certainly longer if there's rail access, okay? Rail improves things tremendously on all counts on carbon footprint and stuff like that. Just on the transportation logistics alone, if you think about a circular economy, you want to go from consumer to recycling to remanufacturing back to consumer. That can happen here in Arizona. The Corona bottles, the Modelo bottles, any of the bottles made at the Favisa plant or in the Owens, Illinois plant in California are coming right back to this market. So the glass from here is going to get recycled here, is going to come back within the market here. It's a really tight circular economy that works in that small space. Now, granted, aluminum is lighter than glass. Okay, on one aspect of the life cycle, aluminum is lighter, right? But the aluminum markets are not from Phoenix to Los Angeles to Mexicali back to Phoenix, the aluminum markets are Turkey to Canada to Iceland to, and can sheet is done. No, there's no aluminum smelting in the United States anymore. There's can recycling, there's can sheet kicking, and I'm not here to I have lots of buddies in the can industry, and we go around the country together and we're on panels together all the time. So I'm not here to knock the can, but I think you have to think about, there's the weight is just one aspect. How tight is your circle is another aspect. Plastic is global. Cans is pretty global. Glass, recycled here, made here, filled here. Glass was never sent to China for national sword. Maybe there's a little bit of export markets, especially if you count the Mexico border, right? And every once in a while you can get a load that goes to South America or something like that, but that's the odd exception, not the rule. Glass is a North American, resilient North American, supply chain. I hope that answers. Okay. And every study that we run, at least, no, every survey that we see is people prefer glass. People prefer the taste in glass. Sometimes if they're going mobile, maybe they'll take a can. But from a taste perspective, glass is the winner, I think. Anybody else want to?
I did want to bring in some of our first responder representatives. So, often there is a competition between police and fire. So I understand that aluminum can metric it's a 60-day turnaround from can to shelf, right? With virtually no residual loss. And I'm hearing you say that glass is a 30-day turnaround with, I'm assuming, virtually very little loss. So I'm wondering, is there a potential glass versus aluminum can wars that we could maybe find on YouTube soon? But the question is, how much of a loss percentage is there in the glass?
So glass is infinitely recyclable. Once you turn it in, the raw materials into glass once, it can be turned back into glass over and over and over again. There is no, there might be grains lost in the processing, but there's no degradation of the quality of the material. That glass can be turned back into glass over and over again. And I'll also throw in, and again, cans does well. Cans has good high recycled content, and they need it, right? One of the reasons that they need the recycled content is they're not making it here, right? So they have to have the recycled content. There is a bit of a stretch right now, not just glass versus cans. All packaging material is stressed for recycled content. COVID hit supply chains hard, and the whole system is stressed. The transportation and logistics system is stressed. Getting trucks to go from point A to point B is stressed. So the more that we can get into the system, the better. I would tell you that glass holds well up, and it doesn't. You can park it in the, at Rose's facility, and it's out there, and it doesn't do any harm. That's one of the great things. It's inert. So it's good in the environment, doesn't harm the environment. It can last. You can move it around, and it can hold itself in storage for a while until you get the material to market or get the trucks to move it there.
We'll get a couple more, one more online.
Oh,
sorry, here we go.
Scott, when you were speaking earlier, you spoke to the overall nationwide collection and just that there are challenges in different markets, right? And you spoke that one of the biggest cogs in the supply chain is getting the glass to the different MRFs throughout the nation. So my question is, what is the largest contributor to that cog? Is it a lack of organizations, great organizations like Rose's, or is that a general transportation challenge?
Another great question while I delay getting up here.
All right, so not to get into the weeds of glass economics and MRFs, but glass is heavy. A lot of companies are they do multiple things, right? So if I'm a hauler, I may also be a MRF. I may also be a landfill company, right? I may or may not have any glass equipment at my MRF, right? So one of the issues that we've been studying is single stream recycling. Years ago, I don't know how many people in this room remember, I mean, look, I grew up in Texas, and I remember when we had a bottle deposit in Texas and we had separate streams. I'm old enough to remember when we had separate streams. And I think a lot of the folks who are probably closer to my age in here remember some sort of form of separate streams, right? Then single stream took over. Look, I get it. There's an efficiency of having one truck run through the neighborhood, right? But the single stream system, to me, in my opinion, and I will also say I sit on a couple other different boards that study this problem. It's only as good as the facility that the material's going to. You pack it all into one truck, you smash it with a hydraulic press, you take it somewhere and you try to unsmash it after it's been smashed, right? And sometimes materials don't like each other inside that truck, especially when they're smashed. I'm oversimplifying it to a certain extent, but I think you get what we're talking about. I'll give you for instance, in Europe, and I know that our system is not like the European system, and I'm not advocating that our system be like the European system, but to show you what's possible, in the average European country, we're at 70% recovery rates for glass, and we're at 50% recycling content rates for glass made in Europe. There are some nations that are at 90%, right? So it can be done. Now, Norway is not Arizona, right? And so I'm not going to compare those two directly, but we're behind, right? And we can do better. That's why the US EPA set the national goal to 50% for all materials, not just glass. We're probably second to cans in terms of the recovery rate and the recycled content rate. Although paper, I don't know the paper fiber guys all get upset at me every once in a while when I talk about that, because some of them are 100% recycled fiber. I understand that. So I would tell you that there are market economics, and to me, as a public administration, that's my background in school, there's a market power issue for cities and communities against, each one of you have to get your materials to market, whether it's glass or any other materials, and each city or each county is paying to get your different materials to a place, right? And if there was some pooling and some solid waste district work and pooling of resources, then you could negotiate one better contract for all the municipalities in the region rather than one by one by one by one by one. Now that's my opinion. That's Scott DeFive's opinion. It's a little bit controversial when I get into some forums where I'm talking out loud, and I understand that we're streaming on the internet. So who knows, my friends at the MRF industry are listening. But I think that it's a huge issue. I mean, I'm rambling on, but I'm going to give you're not alone. I get calls from Pennsylvania every day. I get calls from Georgia every day. I get calls from Florida every day. The company isn't going to take our glass anymore. They don't want our glass anymore. Well, guess what? They're still getting paid to put it in a landfill because they're getting paid by weight to tip into the landfill. So they're going to get paid one way or the other, whether the truck turns left or the truck turns right. And I think that's one of the biggest issues and biggest impediments in our system right now to getting more glass back into the system.
Last question.
And this is actually a pretty good follow-up question. So this is also from Terry. How do you work with MRF owners and operators who use the old mantra that glass is a contaminant?
How, yeah, I don't, everybody's contaminant is somebody else's primary material, right? And one of the other organizations I sit on is the Recycling Partnership. I'm on the board of the National Recycling Partnership. I just became the chair of the Community Engagement Committee for the Recycling Partnership. And the Recycling Partnership's mantra is we are all in the bin together, okay? And if you fix one stream, you're fixing somebody else's stream. And Paul talked about glass being the negative sort. Glass is there's two negative sorts, glass and residual landfill. We're not a positive sort. We're not a pristine, nice bale of aluminum that gets picked out by a magnet, right? To me, your glass stream is indicative of how well the rest of the MRF is working or not working. Because if your residual contamination in your glass pile is 50% not glass, how are you selling that on the market as glass, right? And so there'll be market price websites that say, oh, the price of glass today is X. Well, somebody put that in there, and what they put in there is 50% residual contamination that should be going to a landfill, right? So I think that the market economics and the pricing transparency are off, and all of these different things that be fixed. Now, will I work with a MRF that wants to work with us to do glass? Absolutely. Do I think they need a little help from the regulators to kick them in the right direction? I do. Okay. But GPI has made grants to MRFs for glass equipment in the past. The Glass Recycling Foundation could do that again once we raise enough money. There are individual companies that will help in a very specific situation. If the problem is, hey, all we need is an extra, I don't know, trommel or an air. And SMI does that too, right? I mean, right.
They're open to help.
Yeah.
If the MRFs are open to our help, we'll send a crew out there to look at the operations, try to give them some good advice on what works best for getting the glass out clean. Because, some MRFs give us glass that's, 40% trash. Some of them give us glass that's 10% glass. So a lot of it's done at the MRF level, and we will help them. We do it at cost. We don't make any money on it, and we do it the right way. So I hired a guy 10 years ago who worked for CP. It's a big MRF equipment company. He worked there for 10 years that installs all over the world. Now he does the same kind of stuff for us. So we're very open to it, and it usually works.
We need the MRFs. We need the glass from the MRFs, right? We're not going to switch the entire country to dual stream. All right, that's not going to happen. We need to have it done, but I need, coalition of the willing, goes a long way.
Last call, not for your glass bottle, but for questions. So.
So I had a question. We mentioned specifically glass recycling for windows a couple times. I'm curious if there are any programs right now that are utilizing that, or if that's something that you're looking to expand into in the future, or really just any more information on specifically glass window recycling.
Yeah, we get about 300 or 400 tons of architectural glass in a month in our Phoenix plant. Most of it comes from the manufacturers because it's cutting defects. So when Oldcastle's cutting windows, they'll put the glass in a bin and we pick it up and bring it to our plant. So we get a fair amount of that. So we're absolutely open to it.
We as well at our plant have a drop off, and a lot of people don't know that, but we accept a lot of windows, windshields, bottle glass.
Do you foresee anytime soon, particularly with the gaps in the Midwest, for processing plants to be coming online?
There are new processing plants coming on. There's new glass manufacturing plants coming on. We do need more of them, and that's one of the other things that we've identified. A lot of these solutions, they're not in a silo, right? If we're going to collect more glass, we need more processing, we need more transportation to get it to more markets. But the first thing first, we got to keep the glass out of the landfill, divert the glass from the landfill like Rose's program does, and then it will get on its way, right? So there is more processing being investigated. I've had calls from investment firms, and some other companies are looking, at doing some, and I know that Strategic is always looking at their footprint as well.
I just wanted to say that here in Arizona, it's incredibly fortunate that there's a processor here. I can't tell you how many states we answer the phone to where they've got a huge problem. The fact that the cities and municipalities aren't really taking advantage of what we have in Arizona is a shame. So certainly programs like this on a commercial level are a way to at least address part of your problem. But when it comes to solutions, it's going to take a village. It's going to take a lot of people working together, creating education promoting awareness and working together transparently to understand why we're not doing a good job. So I really encourage that you have those conversations and have those conversations with people that can answer your questions.
Any other questions? I'm not going to talk like an auctioneer. Going once, going twice. Okay, that's all you get. Again, I really want to thank everyone for being here for this event. Thank you, Scott and Joe and Paul and Rose. Great, great content, subject matter experts. Thank you all so much for being here tonight, providing your expertise and educating us and giving us an opportunity to learn what we can do to try to help move this forward and close that waste diversion gap with glass. That said, I do hope that we will see all of you at our annual conference coming up soon. Please feel free to reach out to us if there's any information that you still would like from this event and anything that we can do moving forward for you. We will be sending out some information for you very soon. And again, thank you all for being here very much. Same online, that would include you, Terry. So please, I encourage you to hang out, network, and talk to our panel, and then we'll see you at the next event soon. Thank you.